Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome back to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and it is way past time that I got off my ass and talked about some Scuttlebutt. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been a hot minute since I sat down to make one of these guys. I have really struggled the last 4 to 6 weeks, I'd say, to really be inspired to sit down and make original Warships content for YouTube. It's been a struggle for me. I can't even tell you that I know why. I just know that it has been so. And you've probably noticed most of the content on the channel since, well, probably for most of June and July has been pretty low effort stuff. And I apologize for that. I'm not like interested in taking a break from the game. I'm still enjoying playing boats and everything, but just, I guess, finding the motivation to sit down and make videos has been lacking a bit. I am not the world's best at this because I find the video editing process to be incredibly tedious, but that's just me. Anyway, we're getting to it today, guys, so I hope you enjoy. Today's game in the background, clearly, as you can see, we're getting underway here, brought to you by Tier 6 Italian heavy cruiser, Trento. I was recently kind of challenged to regrind the Italian cruiser line for research points by my chat, and so this is me doing that. I sold the line back to the beginning, bought my way back up to Montecuccoli down at Tier 5. Oh yeah, he's feeling that. Unfortunately, the Tier 5, the Italian light cruiser, is still not all that amazing. But once you get to the heavies here, like Trento, this ship gets to be really good. She's an adaptation because of the slow fire rate, but she is a lot of fun. This is an excellent game, and I think is a good showcase for kind of sort of how you can play the ship. I won't say it's the best way, but it's certainly one of the ways that I do it, and I hope you enjoy. So, it's like I said, it's been a hot minute. What's been going on in shooty boats? I'm like 2 patches behind. I got to a real good groove doing these about every 3 to 4 weeks for patch releases, and I've really fallen off the wagon hard the last couple of patch cycles, and so let's try and get back on things. Of course, update 11.6 is here as of, I guess, technically now about 10 days or 2 weeks ago. We're in early access for the British battleship line split. They're calling it a battleship line. They're battle cruisers. Like, don't fool yourself into thinking these ships have battleship armor. Most players by now probably have picked up, at least if you've been playing regularly, have picked up the Tier 4 ship that is HMS Queen Mary. And she's actually quite a bit of fun. I've got a video coming on Queen Mary to the channel this week. If you don't have that ship, I definitely, go pick her up through, like Amazon Prime or just the early access missions or whatever. She's worth your time, and I think she really gives you a flavor of how the line does play and is meant to play. And if that's for you, then hey, go for it. And if it's not for you, well, then you learned something. So there you go. Of course, the big change outside of the early release, this patch that's impacting everyone, every single player in the game, is the new changes to the in-game economy. And I gotta say, so far, I am not that upset. Now I have to caveat that, so you have to give me a minute here. And I'll talk a little bit about this on some of the videos you start to see this week on the channel, because we're finally getting caught up on some of the backlog on quick cuts. But the short version is this. Even if you didn't come into the transition with a whole lot of the Tier 3 or the Tier 4, the blue or the red bonuses, the reality is that under the new system, the way they've decoupled ship XP from captain XP means that those bonuses are more flexible and more tailorable. That's not a word. But like more easily tailored, that's the word. More easily tailored to what it is you're trying to do. Let's say for a minute you're regrinding a ship line. You already have a captain for the ship. Maybe he's 18 or 19 points and you're not super concerned about racking up those last 2 points on him because it's, I don't know, let's say it's a Tier 5 or like Trento here, like a Tier 6, a mid-tier heavy cruiser, right? But you want to get through the regrind as quickly as possible. Under the old system, you would stack every bonus you could come up with in order to try and speed that grind up. And it would be, flags and camos and this, that, and the other thing. And you could, in a good result game, you could probably rack up 20 to 25,000 XP. And that was not easy, right? It took some pretty extreme bonuses to get there. There were instances of being able to get more, but they were very rare. Okay, and you were also getting the captain XP along with all that, whether you wanted or not. This time under the new system, you're now completely decoupled from this. So if I want to grind ship XP but not captain XP, I don't have to spend any bonuses to captain XP, which I'm a huge fan of. Because for me, I have lots of like 19-ish point captains. I'm regrinding ships, or I have a 21-point captain and I'm regrinding the ship or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to spend these bonuses on commander XP that I'm never, like, I don't need this. I mean, yeah, it goes to the elite commander XP. You can spend it anywhere. But like, I just don't want to spend the bonus. I'd rather save the bonus for working on a captain I'm actually grinding. And now you can finally do that. So there are things to like about the new system. Now, what are the concerns I have? Probably the same concerns that everybody else has, which is how generous, right, are they going to continue to be with these bonuses in the future? Personally, I admit I'm a whale, right? So I have way too many of these bonuses laying around, and I'm not likely to run out anytime soon. However, I'm sure there is more than one free-to-play player out there who has less to start with, and they're all curious how those earnings are going to go. So am I, right? I'm actually curious as well, because that directly impacts, in my opinion, the future health of the player base, right? Players are going to show up and play. They're going to want to show up and have a good time, but are they going to stick around if... Oh, I love this hit on this. Look at this. I've dumpstered 2 destroyers in this game like that. But are they going to stick around if it takes weeks or weeks and weeks to grind out ship lines? Probably not. So I feel like Wargaming has to find the right balance in order to make sure that they're awarding these bonuses in large enough quantities that the players who need them the most, who are most likely to get good use out of them, at least have a few laying around and have access to them still. Now, we have seen some of the monthly missions award some of the Tier 3 bonuses. I think it's 2 of each right now. So that's nice, but I want to see more, right? I want to see them do more. So we need to keep an eye on this. One thing I haven't looked at, I was having this conversation on Twitter with someone earlier today. I haven't looked at how they've translated these bonuses back to the new player ranking system, right? Where you earn your account levels, right? Account level 1, account level 2, and each account level opens up access to new aspects of the game, new facets of the game, and so on. And along the way, used to be in the old system, doing all of that would also earn you camouflages and more money and free modules and stuff, give you a bit of a leg up, give you a head start. I'm curious to see how they've done that, and I haven't gone into check yet. Anyway, the econ something it's something we all need to keep an eye on. It's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for more. And we'll talk about it more, because I feel like we need to stay frosty on this. We don't want to let Wargaming off the hook if it feels like it's not going to be conducive to maintaining the player base of the game. And I think that needs to be the focus, right? Wargaming is unlikely to make economic decisions that benefit us, right? They're going to make economic decisions that benefit them, to the shock of absolutely no one. But that doesn't mean that we can't keep an eye on things and hold their feet to the fire when we feel like we're being treated unfairly, right? So, let's keep an eye on things. I'm trying to think what else is in this patch. I don't know, I'll post the patch notes. Go have a look, guys, but there's all kinds of stuff going on in here. I know that we'll talk about the next patch here in a minute, but I'm actually personally looking forward to, I think, some more of the stuff in the next patch. Speaking of, 11.7 was recently announced, and so we've got a pretty solid bead on what's going to be in 11.7 now going forward. I think the biggest news is certainly to a lot of longtime players of the game. That is Tier 10 Premium American Super Cruiser USS Puerto Rico is coming back to the Dockyard. She will be the first ship returning to the Dockyard. She was the ship that launched the Dockyard back in late 2019, I believe it was. I believe it was 2019. Might have been 2018. I don't remember. It was one of the two. And so she'll be returning. And so players who don't have a Puerto Rico will be able to access one again. And players who do have a Puerto Rico will be able to turn some of those bonuses into, I think, steel or... No, I know what it was. They're basically going to... if you unlock the ship again and you already own it, they're going to award you the equivalent of another Tier 10 earnable ship. I think it's steel, research points, or coal. You'll need to choose which of those you need or want for a Tier 10 unlockable ship. Most players, I'm sure, will go for reach for the steel or the research points, just because coal is not that difficult to get, really, and you can save up coal over the long haul. But yeah, it's nice to see them doing that. So basically, I think we're going to see quite a bit of an uptick here soon, because anybody who's chasing a Tier 10 rare currency ship, is probably going to want to get back into the game and play for a while once 11.7 drops. Now, there's more things going on, of course. The continued early access to the British battlecruiser line still in that patch. One of the things I'm most excited about, and this sounds ridiculous, is the spotter plane improvements. They're doing some improvements to how that system works, and to me, this is long overdue. I have long suffered with the current spotter plane system. I really struggle to use that camera angle for some ships. For many ships, if I'm honest, I'd say most. And so I'm excited to have the, hey, put my plane up, get the extra range, but still give me the traditional camera view, just like you're seeing here, just with an extra, 20% range bonus. So, yes, I'm very glad to see that coming. One of the things, of course, that's coming in the next patch is another round of sub changes to more sub mechanics. This time they're breaking up the two hydrophone, or breaking hydrophone into two different consumables, which honestly, again, I confess, I'm just exhausted trying to keep up with all the damn things that change with submarines. I've long since given up. Right, we're coming up on our third year of testing now, second year of testing, I guess, second year of testing. But it's impossible to keep up. Now, I will say, one of the recent changes that's come along for submarines that I do like, that I appreciate, is depth charges actually now feel very impactful. For the most part. I'll caveat that for the most part, because there are a couple of nations who still get screwed in this department. I'm looking at you, Europe and Pan-Asia. But in general, ship depth charges, and even to a lesser extent aerial depth charges, feel far more impactful and far more meaningful about destroying a submarine than they used to. In fact, I've had a number of games lately while I've been working on the Italian destroyer line where I have been able to take my speed boost, my crawling smoke, and literally just drive right up on a submarine early in a match and absolutely dumpster this guy, and he's out. 3 minutes into the game, the submarine goes in the middle of the board and gets his face smashed in. And let me tell you, that is a great feeling. And there was a time, not so long ago, where the depth charge mechanics basically would not have allowed you to do that. Now they do. And so I'm personally okay with where things are at the moment with that regard. I still think the class is a disaster. I don't think that they're ever going to fit in the game. But I think at this point we've all realized that, our opinion is on this subject is not really that important. And Wargaming is going to do whatever Wargaming is going to do. So, I don't know what else to tell you there, guys. It just kind of is what it is. So yeah, I could do a whole rant on submarines, but the reality is that if WG wants to put them in the game, nothing we can say or do is going to stop that. Your best bet, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, if you don't like the direction the game is headed, if you don't like these kinds of decisions, if you don't think they're making smart calls, you got to vote with your wallet or your feet, guys. It's literally that simple. I'm still having a good time, despite the silliness, but there may come a day in the not-too-distant future that changes, because it's something that's on my mind pretty regularly these days, so we'll see what happens. Of course, as is their typical want, they've announced a whole ton of new premium ships over the last couple of patches that I haven't had time to talk about in the Scuttlebutt. I'll throw some links down below. There's a variety of things that have been announced and are coming. We're still waiting for more information on the Japanese light cruiser line that was announced, I believe, in the spring or early summer roadmap update. So waiting on that. But beyond that, just some dribs and drabs of new one-off kind of premium ships being announced and coming soon. They also announced the currency that certain ships are going to be available for soon-ish. I got to look into that. I'll put a link in the video description. You can check that out. But there's definitely a few ships that have had their currencies spoiled recently. If I'm honest, guys, the whole process of boats right now feels, we've for the last, I guess, 2 years. It's felt pretty rote, pretty typical, pretty just, they've hit a groove and this is what we do. We do a 2-patch early access and we release new content and we drib and drab 3 to 4 premium ships out every patch and yada yada yada. It's just it's the routine now. I could probably almost put a video like this on repeat every 4 weeks and just change the ship names and the new line release names, and you would probably not really notice the difference. I don't know if that's a good thing, personally. I'll rephrase it. I don't think that's a good thing, personally. I think the game has gotten into too comfortable of a groove. That's gonna hurt. Yeah, I got Citadel by SAP. Feels bad. And I personally think it's time that that some things got shook up a bit. Now, we're still waiting on more information regarding the some of the changes that have been happening in Russia and the dev team and so on and so forth. Most of that is still very untransparent, right? In fairness to Wargaming, they don't have to tell us anything, but as customers, we of course would like to know what's going on. What do I mean? Well, if you'll recall, back towards the beginning of the year, the lead producer of the game, that was Sub-Octavian, who'd been the live producer for quite some time, announced his departure from the title. He's still with Wargaming, but no longer working on Warships. His replacement was found internally, but never really announced. And this was the part that always confused the crap out of me. I think I mentioned this on a previous video, or I might not have, because when Zath and I were in Austin doing the Warship Spring Championship back in May, we had this conversation with Boggsy and Ensconce, like, hey, who replaced Sub-Octavian? And they were like, oh, you don't know? I was like, well, no, how would we know? No announcement was ever made, right? And it turns out it was the old EU regional producer, Lord of Droid. Now, Droid, of course, is still in Prague. And the dev team, at last report, was all still in St. Petersburg, right? Because that's where Lesta was. And then, of course, came the announcement not horribly long after the whole Ukrainian mess began that Wargaming was divesting themselves of Lesta. I'm sure that we talked about it at the time. I'm sure they kept the IP to World of Warships and so on. But the question remains that we haven't ever gotten an answer to of, well, what about the dev team? Are they staying at Lesta? Are they staying in St. Petersburg? Are you relocating them? What's going on? We've never gotten an answer, and we still haven't. Probably behooves me to go look on ping the CC Discord and try to get a little bit of get them to expound upon what's going on, right? Because I am, and I'm sure many of us are very curious, because I feel like if you're going to make a change and kind of hopefully improve the direction of the game, the time is now, right? The departure of Sub-Octavian would have had a bit of a lag time as the stuff that he and his plans and planning set into motion work through the backlog. But we're almost there. We're about 3 or 4 patches into the post-sub era. So sometime in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 patches, we should be seeing the start of the Lord of Droid era. And I am very curious and hopeful, optimistic, that maybe we'll see some better changes coming in days ahead. We'll talk more about that in the quarterly review tomorrow. I am a little late getting that video out, but I'm going to get that worked on, and that will come out tomorrow. All right, guys, more info on some of the stuff I talked about in the links below. This is basically the end of the game. There's nothing else to see. We're obviously not going to spot this submarine and clean him up. But we did win the game. I had a nice 6-kill spot here. Trento is a better ship than people give it credit for. And you saw what I did to those 2 destroyers, man. I love doing that to mid-tier destroyer players because many of them don't understand or have not yet encountered the power of the Italian heavy cruiser SAP. So it's always fun to introduce them the hard way. In the meantime, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Wash your hands, be safe, and I will catch you next time.